Do you have that something in you that attracts people to you? Amen? See, in a world that we live in, devoid of integrity, when we live lives of integrity, even people who don't like our message, don't like the idea of the gospel, reject the gospel, they still want to be around you. I have people come around me all the time, just want to argue with me, but they still want to hang around with me. It's like, well, go ahead, you argue all you want. They call me names, they make fun of me, they mock me. I work with people like that, But, like I said, they still find us interesting. That's very interesting. You ever had that, somebody talking to you and they go, that's very interesting. That's always a common comment when you talk, when people ask you a question and you give them you state the facts, you state the truth, and they go, well, that's very interesting. Very non-committal, right? Thirdly, a life of integrity aims for God's standard, not one that you've made up. It's not, it's not your own standard that you sort of compiled. It's not a worldly standard. It's God's standard. In verse 25, Rabbi Shaul speaks to Felix and Drusilla and began to discuss righteousness, self-control, and the coming judgment. Righteousness, what that is, self-control, and coming judgment. We live a life of integrity not so that we win favor with others, brothers and sisters. Our motivation to live a life of integrity is so that God will be blessed. And further, the reality facing us that He's going to call us to live a life of self-control because judgment is coming for our life. We choose integrity over selfish desires because we realize, just as Shaul realized, standing before a judge, one day we too will stand before the judge Messiah, Yeshua, and we will have to account for the life that we've lived. You have to make an accounting for it. You absolutely do. And when we live a life of integrity, we can stand before God. We can stand before God on that judgment day with a clear conscience. A clear conscience. Because again, we're not judged by what we do as much as we're judged by why we did or did not do it. It's the intent of the heart. That's where we're judged. And we therefore need to aim for God's standard so that our hearts are right and not our own standard. Fourth, a life of integrity actively shares faith. As I said last Shabbat, faith in what? Faith alone will do nothing for you. Faith itself, people have faith in faith these days. No, what do you have faith in? Faith in Messiah Yeshua. That's what your faith, that's where your hope is found. And let me tell you something, as I shared last Shabbat, we don't quarantine the good news. We don't quarantine the good news. A life of integrity is manifested in sharing the good news with others. Yes, we are in the midst of a global pandemic, but you can't quarantine the truth. Nor should you want to. The good news is a contagion. The good news is a contagion. People the way must share this contagion. We must have contact to share the contagious truth of the way of Yeshua. For the sake of their souls, this world desperately needs the truth. They don't need flattery. And finally, a life of integrity is only available through the way of Yeshua. You will not find it any other way. It is not genuine integrity unless it's centered in the way and life of Yeshua. And we need that birthed within us, or you'll never know what it is. Unless that integrity has been birthed within you, you have no idea what that looks like. Shaul shows us the way to God, but Yeshua alone makes it possible. So, are you living a life of integrity? It's a rhetorical question. Only you can answer it. I can't answer it for you. It's not my job. My job is just to pose the question. My job is to stir your spirits into really self-examining where you're at in that area. Is there integrity in your life? But I can speak for myself. I can speak for myself this morning, and that's what I'm going to do as I conclude this message. I stand before you, brothers and sisters, and all who are watching the internet, with one purpose and one purpose alone: to worship, as Rabbi Shaul did, God the Father in accordance to the way of Yeshua, believing and teaching everything that accords with the Tanakh, the Torah, the Nevi'im, the writings, and the Ketuvim, the prophets. I stand before the court of public opinion, unafraid, with a clean and clear conscience. And finally, even if, like Rabbi Shaul, I am considered a plague, I will stand alone if need be in truth. Like Rabbi Shaul, this is what I strive for. This is what I press on towards. My hope is that this is what each of you will strive for as well. Please rise. Hallelujah. Father, as we bow our heads, as we think about, as we've gone through this account of Rabbi Shaul being accused, in essence, the spirit that he experienced was bullying. He was bullied. He was bullied for living a life of integrity. That because he had a clear conscience, because he wasn't defensive, because he stood firm on the truth of living the way of Yeshua for his life, he was bullied for that. He was bullied to get him to fear. He was bullied to get him to compromise his integrity. He would not. Father, I know the enemy is at work in all of our lives to try to bully us into being less than what we desire to be in Yeshua. I pray in Yeshua's name, Father, that as you are our defense, you will strengthen us to stand firm on the truth, to continue to walk in the way of Yeshua, and to continue to live by the standard of your word for our lives. And no bully can keep us from doing that. We pray these things in Yeshua's name, and the congregation says,
Amen.
Yivrech Yahweh v'yishmerecha, S'Adonai parvelecha v'yikonecha, S'Adonai parvelecha v'sim lecha shalom. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you, be gracious unto you. And I pray the Lord would lift his countenance upon you, and that he would grant you his shalom. B'Shem Yeshua Adonai. In the name of Yeshua we pray. And the congregation agrees?
Amen.
Amen.